Okay, I have 9 o'clock. I will call the Harrison County Commission meeting for Wednesday, June 5th, 2024 to order. If you will rise and join us in the invocation and pledge, please.
Heavenly Father, all that is and all that ever will be is because of you, Lord. Open up our fleshly hearts that we may receive the peace that you can only give us. Bless the people in this room. Bless them with safe travels today. Bless that all that work here at our county and our municipalities that serve the citizens of Harrison County. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I believe we had a proclamation at 9 o'clock. And do we?
That is correct. Is anyone here for the Men's Health Week proclamation? It is my understanding that no one was able to attend, so we just gave them the right.
You'll just get back with them and,
Yes.
okay. Is there anyone on Zoom that wishes to speak publicly? Anyone on Zoom wish to speak publicly? Anyone in the room wish to speak publicly? Anyone signed up? Okay, consent agenda. What's the pleasure?
Well, Madam President, on consent agenda, I need to pull under B, number 8, the Gable estate. It needs to remain.
Motion to approve and include as this county administrator has stated.
Motion to approve consent agenda and leave the, take the Gribble estate off. Sorry. Make that mistake here. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 3, payroll change notices A through H.
Motion to approve A through H, please.
Motion to approve payroll changes A through H. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Number 4, minutes and or amended minutes of previous meetings, A and B.
Move to approve minutes A and B as consent.
Motion to approve minutes A and B as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None, motion carried. Requisitions, purchase orders, invoices A and B. What's the pleasure?
Motion to approve A and B, please.
Motion to approve A and B. I was going through the requisitions and we have purchasing, looks like the maintenance department is purchasing a chainsaw for a broken one, and Parks and Rec is also purchasing a chainsaw. Who takes care of running a chainsaw at Parks and Rec?
It would probably be 8.
And we need 2 chainsaws.
For maintenance, Parks and Rec trying to keep their own maintenance.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're covered on all in basis with this.
And I could go into.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None, motion carried. Exonerations, we have corrected tickets, joint property. It looks like we have nothing under that item.
That is correct, Madam President.
Number 7, consideration of approval of a project fund requisition for the payment of costs associated with the project to be financed from proceeds of Series 2019 bonds issued for the Charles Point Economic Opportunity Development District, Series 2021 A and B, Development District number 3, White Oaks Project number 2, and Series 2008A, Charles Point Project number 2, Northland Bay Improvements A and B. It's a pleasure.
Motion to approve A and B.
Motion to approve number 7A and B. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. At 9:05, we have a Charles Humphrey nuisance Shinster.
This is a nuisance for that we've had for a little bit, not that long. And I just want to say that they have been cleaning up and they doing a wonderful job. If we could just give them 30 more days, they have just a little bit more to go, not a whole lot.
Motion to approve as stated by Charlotte.
What's the whole lot? What, how much, man, you did give us,
I'm so sorry. They have just a little pile that's like close
She
to the
said-
house. They have a little pile that's just close to the house and it wouldn't take much at all for them to get that up.
And you said 30 days, correct?
Mhm.
A motion's been made to approve 30-day extension.
Yes.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 8, review, discuss, consider administrative contract for EDA grant with Region 6.
Madam President, I am not sure if she, oh, there she is, she's, would you like to come to the podium? And I'm gonna pass out, the updated contract for her. And you might pass it here in your file, we had to change a few dates. Okay. There was 35,000 written in one area, so we just adjusted that. And Trey made some changes if you'd like to speak on those. Sheena?
Good morning, how are you? First time I've been in your new facility. Actually didn't know you had one. I'm sure you're all familiar with the Harrison County Economic Development Corporation project on behalf of the county commission. We've kind of been involved with reporting, but we haven't really done a lot because things have been kind of slow on the project. We haven't put together an admin agreement for this. Now that they're moving, trying to get this project going, we wanted to present an admin agreement because the council, or excuse me, the county commission is the grantee. So our agreement would have to be with the grantee. So we want to put in a $30,000 admin agreement that would cover all the services, setting up a financial management system, doing all the reporting, staying involved with the engineer and the contractor, ensuring that the project stays on schedule till the project is completed. And I believe you did mention the 30,000?
Yes.
Yes. And it was reviewed by Mr. Zimmerman, and I think I accommodated his comments.
Yeah, Region 6 did. We made 2 other changes. The term of the contract was initially indefinite. We limited it to annual renewable terms. And that's because of West Virginia Code 11-826. We also made a change to the amendment process. If the budget would go over, we wanted the commission and Region 6 to have to come back to you all in writing. That way you would be aware if there was an amendment to the contract. That's really it.
And the funding for the administration costs would come from the project funds.
You just answered the question I was going to ask. So the county, this will be paid through the grant, not
Yes.
by county funds.
That's correct.
Is the bridge loan secured now? Do you have the documentation to give us for the?
I'm not involved with that side of it. I thought Amy might be here to answer any of those type of questions because I haven't been involved with any of the financing. So I apologize. I don't know the answer to that.
I'll make the motion that once we find out that the bridge loan has been, documentation is in the president's hands, that way the county administrator then can move forward with letting you do what you have to do.
Okay.
And then we would all, you know, if you can, while you're at that, Laura, see if we have to know who the tenant, the documentation for the tenant who we're building the spec, who the building for by specs. Because that's part of what they're asking us to do, is build a building for a tenant.
I think there's some misunderstanding here, but if that's what Mr. Truecost would like, I just want you to understand that this could cause issues if this contract is not signed. And this, the rest of what you're asking for is still months away, if that's okay. This contract should have been signed 2 years ago. And it wasn't.
And this loan agreement should have been,
Excuse me?
and the loan agreement was that it would be covered in 6 months as of January 13th, 2021. So in June or July 13th, 2021, we should have had this loan document. So we're a little bit behind on all of this project, David.
So I make, you're making a motion that we do not pass this today. Is that what you're saying?
I'm making a motion that we do pass it upon receiving to the commission president the documentation for the bridge loan and the documentation for the tenant that we're building the building for.
I will convey that to the Harrison County Economic Development Corporation to get that
I said-
document. Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
Treasurer,
Mhm.
and so I know exactly what's involved. So if this commission is, I'm speaking on all the commission, but for the Economic Development Board, we're not gonna pass this today. And I think the court will have to reevaluate whether or not we go through with the building.
Okay, the motion's been made to approve this upon receipt of the bridge, the documentation
For the bridge loan
stating that the bridge loan has been completed, correct, or acquired
for $1.4 million.
for $1.4 million.
Right.
Anything further?
And that we have the documentation that we do actually have a tenant. So that we can build the building to specs for that tenant.
And that we have the documentation for the tenant so that we can build the building to the specs.
So if you could just hold off until we get what we've been promised, then we'll go ahead and move forward.
That's fine. I left our signed version of it in the event that when you're able to do that, Laura has it. And then she can just let me know when I can pick it up or,
As soon as
Mail
she
it
has
over.
what we asked for, then we'll give it to you.
okay, I will get with Amy, see what we need to get to you.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Appreciate everything.
Thank you very much.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay, 9:10, Dale Lynn nuisance Shinston.
This is a nuisance case for Dale Edward Lynn at 357 Lynn Hollow Road. It's a dilapidated trailer. It was written up by James Richards in our department. I spoke with Mr. Lynn the other day when I went down to Lynn Hollow. And was getting familiar with the case. He said that if he could get a small extension of 60 days, he could probably have it completely done. So we ask us that you grant him 60 more days and we'll get that cleaned up.
So he's making progress.
Yeah.
You want to extend it 60 days, that's your request, correct?
Correct.
Motion approved the 60-day extension.
Motion to approve the 60-day extension. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 8, we already did that. Number 9, review, discuss, consider Thrasher agreement for engineering services for Westport Connector Bridge.
We might want to check to see if Chad's on Zoom.
Chad, are you on Zoom?
I just texted him, and I have not heard back yet. So this is the task order number 2. This include the proposed scope work is the survey, the environmental investigation, the geotechnical engineering, the engineering design, electrical engineering, construction inspection, material testing, and crosswalk signaling. With this on the task order price. It is broken down on the very last page. How much each one of those would cost.
Question, where is the survey? And where is the preliminary engineering? We paid for,
I was looking for that earlier. I was unable to find it before the meeting.
so we.
I'm
paid
not
for-
sure
we
if Trey
paid for
has,
something that we don't have, or know what it's about. That's what we're saying, we're getting ready to jump into another contract. It states no cost for survey, but we don't know what survey was that was complete. And then we have engineering design, but we've already paid some engineering design. That would seem credit. Or notice of engineering. I'm a little confused. And I'm trying to understand. Does this project supersede the remediation of the trail that we purchased? Is that what we're saying here today, that this supersedes the trail remediation?
I'm under the process, Mr. Attorney, correct me if I'm wrong, for the bridge design, it has to go out to the 5G process.
For the bridge design and looking at the project, we need to look at 5G.
Okay,
In terms of surveys of historical, we do have surveys of the, I'll call it the Ron Lane Inc., Chris Lane property with preliminary design around the existing structures out there that was altered by virtue of some more recent developments. I have seen preliminary engineering for the Harrison Services landing spot on the other side of the river, which we can certainly get to the commission.
Excuse me, you've seen them?
I've,
They've been presented to the commission.
right here's one of them on my desk.
Just asked questions. They've been presented to the commission.
I hope it's been presented to you. It's on my desk, so I would think it would be on your desk as well.
I got it at 10 minutes ago.
But the initial step is to just acquire the landing
right.
for the bridge. So I think that you raise a valid point, Commissioner Hinkle, which is what are the steps for remediation and how do they tie into the bridge? But first we need to get the property to land the bridge and acquire an interest, whether it's an easement or a fee interest in the landing spot for the bridge.
This contract doesn't have anything to do with buying a piece of property. It's $265,000 to engineer a bridge, to put in a crosswalk, and to build new trail, not fixing what we just bought, but new trail along 19 and Stone, whatever it is there. This doesn't have anything to do with what we bought. This is all new. We're not even discussing, nobody's even told me how we're gonna get them. Somebody had talked to the state of West Virginia about the crosswalk and stop. There's nothing in here about a traffic study. I mean, and we're gonna build 2 bridges. And what is it? 1,300 feet of new, or 1,030 feet of new trail. But we haven't even fixed what we have. I'm just asking this commission if it is, because I've looked at the cost, according to Thrasher, that we're talking over $2 million to do a bridge on top of $250,000 for a contract, but we're not fixing what we bought to get to this bridge. So I'm confused on what the commission's plans are. And we're gonna build a new trail over in Northview. Again, new trail. And we just bought 55 acres from CSX, $265,000. And it requires us to remediate and lay down the cap. And I've asked several meetings now. I was thought that we would have a contract to get that done, but nobody seems to know when it has to be finished. Nobody seems to know what that cost is gonna be. Brasher's given us a rough cost. If you look at their rail trail phases, we're gonna spend millions and millions. I mean, nobody's even told us what it's gonna cost to do down by Ron Lane. I got Thrasher, you negotiating with Ron Lane. I got Thrasher negotiating with Allegheny Power to down Haywood. We're not even close to Haywood yet.
Oh, you do have them in negotiation?
According to Mr. Thrasher, he's been, Chad's been having meetings with, Mom Power. We've been paying the bill.
So a couple points. There is no temporal requirement in terms of the paving or the capping or the remediation for the deed. So there is no temporal aspect there. In terms of the negotiation for a substantial period of time, we've been trying to negotiate with Harrison Services as well as Chris Lane to tie in off of the CSX parcel, which was just acquired.
I just have one question. When
Certainly.
did we say that we authorized somebody to talk to them about purchasing that property?
Oh, we authorized the
No,
Chris
no,
Lane
we-
property. The
this-
commission authorized the Chris Lane
Chris Lane,
property. This
yes.
was probably
I won't argue that.
at least 18 months ago. And I'd have to go back and look at the minutes on the bridge landing parcel. And I can do that.
We've been negotiating with the state of West Virginia to use the right of way because they're gonna charge us.
Well, for the last substantial period of time, Mr. Biller has been talking to the DOH because the state is clearly part of the Chris Lane CSX extension. And that's always been within the scope of his
So
work.
is anybody sitting up here had a report from Mr. Diller on phase 3 and phase 2, where we stand in the state of West Virginia in his negotiations?
For phase two, the environmental and the geotechnical.
No, I have to use the property. I mean, that's what we're saying. It's gonna be on their property. It's not gonna be on anything we own.
But today, I think what we're just doing is what you just said in the purchase of the Wilfong property. We're not approving any design of the bridge because that has to go out through the 5G process. I mean,
No, sir.
Thrasher
No,
can
sir,
bid.
you're approving an agreement for
Correct.
Thrasher Engineering to do a task order, which is a work order, to spend $265,000.
Well, I'm gonna approve that we go ahead and we'll make sure we know the land's good. We've been down that road before. We wanna make sure the land's what it is and the right bridge is built on the land. And that we acquire the property on the Wilfong property on the northeast side of it. That's all we're doing today.
So as for this contract that's put in front of you, we can agree to, it would be phase two, the environmental engineering, and phase three, the geotechnical engineering.
Right, but the
for this
design of
piece
the
of
bridge
property.
has to go out to by legislation. To a bid process that Thrasher can bid on just as well as anybody else. Any engineering firm.
Why would we do any of these things?
Well, because we don't want to get into a pickle where we're not sure about what land. Let's learn from our mistakes.
Well, to go out to bid for the 5G process, you're gonna have to have general schematic
Right.
and an overview in hand, just like you would at the airport for a project.
Yeah,
I don't argue that. I'm just asking. Today, it says to approve task order number 2, which says phase 1 through 8, $265,000. I asked to see the survey that's completed. I asked to see the pre-engineering design that we've paid for on the bridge, that we have no idea what it looks like, where this is going, other than a little drawing here with some squiggly lines. And we've paid them close to over $25,000, and nobody can show me today what we spent the money on. And why we've picked this location, why we're doing it here. But we have a contract in front of us for a change order, which we continually give them. We give them so many task orders. It's totally lost. I can tell you, we've been through 1 through 6, and now we're going back through, skip 1, and now we're going 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think we're going,
And the task order process was set up to
Right.
control the cost in the project. We wanted it to be task specific.
Well, it's not in. We don't even know how the task gets started.
well, the task gets started by doing the land and then purchasing the property, which we're doing today. We're not putting the cart before the horse. We're actually doing it very methodically.
So as for this agreement, you want to approve phase 2 and 3 for this agreement,
I only want to approve the land, as you stated,
which is another agenda item.
right?
And-
And also to purchase the next item, which is the Wolf Home property. That's all that's happening today. How's any engineering firm going to know what to do unless they do what the attorney said and have the task order?
I moved to table the Thrasher agreement until we know exactly what we're doing.
And I'll make the motion that we proceed with, as Lars, Madam Administrator said, that we do what we need to do with the land so people know what to build. And we move forward that and that only.
So we would move forward with phase 2, the environmental engineering, and phase 3, the geotechnical engineering. Trey, do you agree on that?
Well, they're gonna have to be components of the bid process, because to put it out for bid, the companies are gonna have to know where they're gonna land and what kind of land they're gonna
Right,
encounter. Are they gonna encounter some type of soil that's heavy in colluvial natural soils, which are prevalent in West Virginia? We have to know the answers
Right.
to put it out.
so that's,
So I don't have any issue with that.
so just as the county administrator stated and the county attorney stated, that's all we're approving today.
And we're approving to do environmental engineering and geotechnical engineer where
So we can put it out to bid for design of the bridge, Mr. Commissioner.
where are they going to do the environmental study and geotechnical?
Well, after we purchase the Will Pond property on item 10, they'll know exactly where to go.
So what about the state right of way property that we don't have deed to?
They're gonna have to study both sides of it. We can't study one side of it, not study the other.
So when are we going to discuss it with the state to get access to their property?
I believe that we've already discussed it. That's already been discussed with Rasher Engineering in the state.
So the state has given us permission to build on their property and build
I
rail
can't,
trail.
I can't answer that other than we know that there's been
So
communication.
why would we approve this environmental engineering just for the bridge? Is it for the 1,000 feet of rail trail?
No, it's just for the bridge.
So maybe it didn't cost as much as what's here.
I can't answer that either, sir,
So then why are we passing something until Thrasher can get in here and we can discuss it?
because we haven't done this in the past in the order that it's supposed to be and it's bid us. This is the right order. We want to know the land and the soil because it's West Virginia land and soil. And we want to make sure it's clean and safe. And also at the same time, we want to make sure we give a scope to all engineering firms to have an opportunity to bid on the design of the bridge.
Well, no, Thrasher's designing the bridge.
They're gonna have to go through the process like everybody else.
No, it says right here, engineering design for bridge.
I'm not approving that today. I told you what the motion is on the floor and I'll call the question.
I don't see how you can call a question. You mean you're gonna do geotech engineering for $25,000? You have no idea where we're gonna geotech?
Yeah, we do if we're, after we approve item number 10, sir.
Where?
No,
Have you read through the contract where it says we're gonna do their material testing?
And part of the material testing will be like where the abutments for the bridge and everything will be along the bank. To
This
check
geotech
that.
doesn't have anything to do, Patsy, with the potential of environmental issues on the property they're about to buy from Toll Glass.
and that's another step, Mr. Commissioner, but this is the first
So
step.
why don't we do the environmental before we pay to have somebody drill it to see if we can build on it? Wouldn't that make sense to do an environmental to make sure that it passes and we're not buying
Then if you
an
want to,
arsenic and filled hunk of property from the last plant?
you mean like we did, which we're sitting on?
We did an environmental study.
No, we didn't, because
Well, see, you said in the last meeting when we were trying to buy Meadowbrook,
did.
we would
We're-
not buy
we're actually-
property
we're actually
that hasn't had an environmental study, make your mind up.
I'm making my mind up that we're gonna do this right.
Well,
And
but you're
not-
not, where's the environmental
And
study?
if you want to include to do the environmental study first and then do this, I'll go with that motion, sir. I'm compromising with you. But we're gonna continue to move forward methodically so we can get a design of the bridge and all engineering firms know exactly what they're dealing with,
So you're fine with just doing phase two, then?
which is no,
Environmental only?
2 and 3.
No. Why would, if the environmental comes back, why would we build? Why would we pay to test for our soil to see if it'll support something if it's a environmental issue? Why would we pay them to do both? That's a waste of taxpayer money, $25,000.
Don't ever talk to me about wasting taxpayers' money
Oh, I'll talk to you all the time about it.
because it'll get not good. But.
Really?
Call the question.
Can I just make a practical point? There are very few crossing and landing
Yeah.
properties where we can put this bridge and locate it within what we've acquired from CSX, which we had to acquire to connect. So we're not talking about a bunch of different landing locations, and the properties are all the same. They all sit in the riverbed in the Northview area, turning to the north, headed towards Shinston. And they were all generally used in the coal industry
No, they were
historically.
used other than coal industry.
They were.
There's a lot,
They
a
were.
lot of chemicals, a lot of issues.
Can you let him finish? Can you please? He's speaking. He has.
I just thought, there aren't a lot, what I'm trying to say is practically, based on the delineation of the path, there are only so many potential exits, crossings, and landings for the bridge.
Then maybe we didn't come up with the best way to do it without us taking on an environmental nightmare. Did we look at other options than building 2 bridges across creeks?
We did,
Which
and
we,
this project has been going
I wanna
on,
know who we is.
it's been going on since, I hate to say this, but probably since I was born. And we've looked, and even recently, Mr. Biller and I and previous, the Rail Trail Board and Authority
We don't have
and,
a rail trail.
well, the Friends of the Rail Trail, whatever we want to call them, have looked at this, and it's just impossible to keep the trail on the same side of the river as where it presently sits. There have to be crossings.
I think there's been some people that were involved in rail trail that found ways around it through city streets, but we're in the process of, according to Mr. Biller, drop 2.5. $3 million for this project. And still not have any way to get to the property we just bought because we're not remediating it.
Okay, the motion's been made to approve phase 2 and 3. This task order, correct? Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed.
No,
Number 10, review, discuss, consider purchasing a portion of Wilfong property.
Madam President, in front of you, you have the layout of section of the Wilcox property. The purchase, here is the property.
something.
We don't have a motion yet. but we-
Motion to not purchase Wolfong property.
A motion's been made to not purchase the Wilfong property. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Discussion, please.
Oh, okay. Why do you don't want to buy it? What's the discussion?
The reason why.
Motion to approve the bulk purchase of the Wilfong property.
The reason not to purchase Wilfong property, one is it's in the floodplain. Two, you're offering $20,000 for something that Our assessor has appraised for $100. There's no value in this land. 90% of it is in the floodplain, so I don't know why we would offer taxpayer dollars. And I don't understand why this wasn't researched, if you decided that this was a perfect landing spot, well, that was Thrasher, but it's in a flood zone and a potential environmental hazard area. According to Mr. Treecoff, we don't buy hazardous property until we have it
So you,
inspected, and Ms. Thomas makes it very pointed about doing stuff in flood zones, so I don't know why now we are buying property in flood zone, paying the man $20,000 for something that the assessor appraises that's $100. I call the vote to not purchase property.
all in favor of not purchasing the property, I think, signify by saying aye. Those opposed?
No.
No. How much, I mean, is this all there is?
So that's the draft deed. We have to get a survey.
I have that. What's your pretty colored pictures? Where'd you get?
These are the flood zones.
Oh, but you went on your own and,
Well, of course, that's our job, is to go out and research before we spend county's money. I'm sorry, that's what I did, but yes.
yeah, I know, you're excellent
Mr.
at that stuff.
Mr.
You're a number one around here.
Might give it a shot sometime.
Thank you very much.
So can I add comments? So I would request that the motion be to negotiate with Mr. Wilfong to acquire the property. And to vest Laura with authority to do that. I don't think $20,000 is reasonable for the property. I think Commissioner Hinkle makes a good point. I think if it was appraised, it wouldn't have a lot of market value, so I would like to see a motion made which reflects that.
How much property is it?
The total property is 0.41 of an acre.
We have a motion to allow Laura or whoever to enter into negotiations. Okay, I'll make a motion that we allow Laura to enter into negotiations for the, I guess, Harrison Services LLC, are they the,
They hold title.
with Harrison Services Trey or Laura, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's better if Laura does it. I think keep the lawyers out
I
of it.
think you've said that.
I have said that before.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, I would like for the president commission to do negotiations.
I'll call motion of the president.
Okay. So the motion is that the president make the negotiations?
Yes.
I'll call your motion first.
Okay.
You made the motion.
All in favor of Laura doing the negotiating, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Motion carried. I think we had a 920 James Skadir and William Southern alley closure, Thorn Street Enterprise.
No, Madam President, we need to table that item for right now.
Okay. And we have a 925 special funding request, Progressive Farmers Club of Jones Run Community requesting $2,000 to replace the ceiling in Jones Run Community Building. Thank you. To you, Tom.
Hello, I'm Tom Harrison. I represent the Jones Run Progressive Farm Club. And it's located on Jones's Run out of Lumberport. And we have monthly meetings and other functions that we do in the Jones's Run Community Center, which we own. We took ownership of it several years ago, about 6 or 7 years ago. And we also applied for a 501c3 at the time and received it. And we've had several projects that we've done through the years. Y'all might. I brought pictures of one of them. Might give you something to smile about because the county hadn't got any money involved in that, and it's a library on that end of the county. We have done several projects through the years. We basically remodeled that community center, put a roof on it, windows and all that sort of thing. And this year we've decided to put a ceiling in and lighting. And we make it available to the people on that end of the county. So what we're asking for is $2,000. So far, every project we've done on our own. We've got a estimate, a couple estimates, but one of the cheapest one was for $4,000. And by doing fundraisers, we are planning on paying for half of that. 2,000 of it is for the contractor and 2,000 for supplies. And what we'd like to do is pay for half of that. And we're asking the commission for paying the other $2,000 to support that building.
Hey, Madam President, why don't we go ahead and give you the $4,000 and you raise your money and do other things to the building that you need to be done? It's an old building, I think. So if you don't mind, we'll just go ahead and make the motion to give
Be
you.
great for
$4,000.
us, but we didn't want to go
No,
too big.
The fact that you're raising money needs to roll to us because people come in here and ask us for everything all the time and do nothing for themselves. We appreciate you.
Well, we'd appreciate it.
The motion's been made to allocate $4,000 for the project. Is there any discussion?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to, I'm fine with, the money. I would just like to, have bills attached to cover the.
You want to see the bills that paid for the $4,000?
Yes.
For the contractor and all that.
Just we will pay the contractor directed me or to you all.
Just let us know what we need to do. Somebody needs to let us.
Okay, Laurel,
Keep your receipts. Keep your receipts.
okay, all in favor of the $4,000 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 11, review, discuss, consider execution of real estate purchase agreement and escrow instructions related to the acquisition of parking lots located at 327 Washington Avenue, Clarksburg, West Virginia.
Madam President, this is another step in moving to finalize the agreement to purchase the parking lots right down here on Washington Avenue. We've been working diligently with them and their attorney. Trade have constant contact with them, making sure we follow through with the due diligence process, got all the documentation that we needed from them, and then this is just the next step in the process.
Pleasure.
I motion to approve.
And a fixed signature.
Fixed signature, please.
Motion to approve the execution of the real estate purchase agreement and escrow instructions. And a fixed signature. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, ma'am. What are the intentions of the county commission for this parking lot
Parking,
for employees?
I believe it can be, I mean, I'm thinking of a mix, public and employee.
Are we going to charge the public? So this is something we're going to do to make money for the commission, or?
You don't mind, Commissioner, I'd love for you to do exactly what you did at the airport. That was the cheapest idea that you had out there. And we'd like, if you could come up with the same process for us here, that's great, because that parking lot's making money in every fiscal, you know.
It does, but are we buying this to make money, and are we buying it supply parking to Clarksburg or for Harrison County Commission?
Well, I'd like for you to put together a plan that where it's actually a process that it pays for itself first.
Mr. Tree Cost, I opposed this, so I don't think I'm the person to ask, because I see no point in us spending $400,000 on a parking lot downtown Clarksburg. And the city of Clarksburg had the same opportunity, and that parking lot should be helping out the businesses in downtown Clarksburg.
Okay.
That services all of Harrison County. Okay,
I agree with that, and Madam President, if you could, Madam Administrator, if you could find the details of how organized they were at the airport under Mr. Roth, we'd appreciate it, because it's a great plan that they have, and they've done a great job, and we'd like to implement the same thing with our employees and our citizens, just as they.
It seemed like you got a pretty good handle on what we did at the airport. Why aren't you taking it on yourself?
okay, the motion is on the floor. Can we just
Yeah.
vote? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed.
No,
Review, discuss, consider GSA update potential executive session pursuant to 6984B9 to consider matters involving the effective purchase, sale, or lease of property, advanced construction planning, the investment of public funds, or other matters involving commercial competition, which if made public might adversely affect the financial or other interests of the county. Do we have anything?
The only thing that I have is the air conditioning is working here in the GSA building. We still have to work on the programming issues, but at least it's not 80-some degrees in some of the offices. So that is the latest from what has happened since last meeting. Madam
So this is another list, another thing to be added to the list.
It's been on the list.
Okay. Thank you. Number 13, review, discuss, consider declaring property located at 52 Roosevelt Street, Lumberport, West Virginia as an emergency nuisance within the framework of the International Property Maintenance Code ordinance so that emergency measures abatement can be commenced.
Yes, I'm asking this structure to be declared as an emergency under the International Property Maintenance Code. So that we may be able to enter the property and take asbestos testing and then, ultimately take it down. You have the one picture that's on the agenda. I think Mackenzie put another picture in front of you all. And it shows the back of it with the back of the whole trailer is missing.
Madam President, it would be this picture.
Yeah, I can't tell. It's sort of loose.
I believe she's referencing here where they're.
Here's, is this the same picture? Just shows,
Yes.
I think this is a better picture. Shows the house.
and these people been contacted to take the house,
Yes, sir.
the neighbors.
They are ignoring us. We haven't been able to reach them at all. They've just abandoned.
And your only power is to do what you're doing.
Yes.
And then the gentleman that works for solid waste authority has the power.
Not to demolish. This is one of the houses that we are wanting to take down with some DEP money.
Basically, we're skirting what we not having building code, we're finding a way to skirt the building code.
Not exactly. We have several that we can't get a hold of and we're not putting them there because on the emergency, because they don't qualify. The whole back of this trailer is missing.
Lots of that. We got trailers, we're having to, we've got burnt down houses, just trying to figure out what dart we're throwing to go do this, because it's.
The same dart we've been throwing for a few months now.
50 darts in 10 minutes from here to do this. Just trying to understand why this one's being
We've-
pushed into an emergency.
Yeah,
This is a property that we had already written up as a nuisance, which is with where we started with our DEP project. We took the houses that we had already written up as nuisances. And we put those at the top of the list for the demolitions. This one is one that we had written up a while back. As we went down Roosevelt, we had received several complaints along that road. And written up several properties.
Personally,
Yeah,
I went down there and
and
it's a
we've
disaster.
tried multiple times to get in touch with the owners of this property. We reached out to neighbors to see if they had spoken with them. And then we finally noticed that the whole backside of the trailer had fallen apart, so we just went ahead.
Is this how we bypass taking them to court? People in the future?
Yeah, that's why we adopted the property maintenance code, was to set up
We
for
don't have-
emergency
they don't
structures.
clean it up and just claim it an emergency nuisance. Right?
So
We
we,
can go in and do what we want.
Doing that.
so we try to reserve the use of the International Property Maintenance Code for extreme cases. If the back of the trailer fall off, that's a changed circumstance and it would make this an emergency. It's also an attractive nuisance. And that's a qualified approach through the DEP funding mechanism for the remediation. We've talked to the DEP about that. And we do it on a case-by-case basis. In relation to the fires, the nuisances in Harrison County, planning's been very proactive. We've talked about making sure that we're trying to protect the insurance proceeds. Within the last year, they've changed their plan there, their program, because public entities have a lien and insurance proceeds if there is coverage up into the insured amount for remediation. So we're trying to be aggressive and proactive there, not so much aggressive, just proactive, but this is an approved mechanism within the IPMC and 100% right in planning. That's why it was adopted.
And let me just
Yeah.
say, Laura and Robert, that more has been done to clean up this county since you've been here and in the history of the county. Oh, my hat's off to you, but this is great, guys. We didn't, we're approaching this like a municipality.
And it's much more efficient. Several years ago, we were at the point where Danny and I, as part of the court process, we would physically go to each property and try to talk to the landowners. Wasn't always the safest thing to do, but that's kind of how we got started and we've got more efficient as we have gone.
Yeah. It's hard to take somebody to court when they just abandon the property and they usually just leave the state and just leave the property setbacks. So this gives us an opportunity to take care of these nuisances. Kind of rid the area of backpackers that are just going in and just,
So many properties do we have sitting right now?
Yeah, 44 on the list now, but heck, we probably have another.
yeah, as far as the DEP demolitions, we have about 50, but in court right now, I think we have around 10 right now in court.
In court?
Yeah.
And then the 10 that we're waiting on court fall into this emergency nuisance.
There's a couple that we have to, that aren't emergencies. Yeah, that they're not just open structures for people to get into, so we take them through the court process.
But you do have something that you could do this.
Yeah, but if we haven't got a hold of them and we have this emergency nuisance process we can go through, it just makes it easier.
If I may, planning has done an amazing job with trying to tear these structures down. Yes, some properties come in front of us for emergency measures. But the ones that we see are the ones that we might be paying, whether it's out of general fund or the DEP money to tear these houses down. I also wanted to say how many houses they work with property owners to work with them for them to tear down their own houses and to clean it up. So, I mean, for all the ones that you see come before you, there's a whole bunch behind the scenes that are getting done by the property owners that are being responsible for their properties. Unfortunately, we don't always have that option and people just don't care. So there are measures.
Today, we have gave somebody a 60-day extension, a 30-day extension, with the program's working, guys. And believe me, other counties will copy this, much like Huntington did Clarksburg 10 years ago. You know, Huntington adopted what we did here in Clarksburg, and Huntington has changed itself. Clarksburg changed itself.
And that's the best and the cleanest way is when the property owners are involved because it eliminates court, eliminates IPMC, eliminates a lien at the end of the day. One thing I would like y'all to consider in the future is perhaps trying to partner with a waste disposal company as an additional tool to help with people. We've tried to do that before and we haven't been successful there, but that would be another valuable tool just in your toolbox to use or to offer to our residents in Harrison County who have these issues. A lot of the people we encounter have underlying mental health issues, so it's a tricky area.
Yeah, and we've worked with, yes, Smallwood, to sanitation to give people dumpsters, to clean up property. We work with Chase Snyder and Solid Waste Authority, to get properties cleaned
Yeah,
up,
so
so,
say we hired a full-time person with solid waste authority to do
Yeah.
this.
and we work well with
You
him
work
as well.
with him, I mean, you
Yeah.
call, because I know you.
I talk to him every day.
I talk to you about.
All the
All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed. Motion carried. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Jim. Okay. Number 14, review, discuss, consider letter to Alcohol Beverage Control Administration, ENR Enterprises, Hanlon Meat Market, Ben Hanlon, 2600 East Main Street, Bridgeport, West Virginia.
So Madam President, this is actually the old Maple Valley Meat Market. These are the new owners who are applying for an alcohol license. And of course, it comes before the county commission since it does not fall within a city municipality.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve the letter from the Alcohol Beverage Control Administration. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Review, discuss, consider request to travel Peggy Bailey, OEM, Buchanan, West Virginia, on June 5th, FEMA G191 Class EMPG. And is that no cost, I assume?
That is correct. There was no cost for this class. She used a county vehicle. This is actually one of the required classes for the EMPG certification, Emergency Management Performance Grant, which that's what we get reimbursed every year for her salary and utilities and everything else dealing with OEM.
move to approve.
Motion to approve. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 16, review, discuss, consider a resolution authorizing the president to affix her signature for the application to the WVDEP for 2024 AML Economic Revitalization Program for the Harrison County Agriculture and Youth Complex.
Basically, you read what I would say, so, that number 50 or 16 and 17 both are applying for AMLR money. One is for the youth barn and the other one would be for animal control. And I'm just asking for your cooperation and allowing the president to affix her signature on the applications.
Gina, if you scroll the motion to approve, thank you for all the effort.
Gina, for the record, can you explain what AML?
AML is Abandoned Mine Land Economic Revitalization Program. And to be able to qualify for these projects and this grant, you have to have a pad or the area has to be undermined. Well, we know pretty much all of Harrison County has been undermined, so this is just a way to go in and revitalize the land and take care of any issues that may be with the properties
So we want to
and to
combine
make it
16.
economically valuable.
Motion approved 16 and 17. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gina. Motion to approve 16 and 17 in the fixed signature, correct?
Yep.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 18, review, discuss, consider policy statement for dog and kennel fund from 1997, amendment number 1.
So Madam President, this amendment to the Dog and Kennel Fund is pretty much the original policy statement limited us on what we could use the Dog and Kennel Fund for. This is actually just taking the verbiage out of state code and putting everything in there. So we have the tools necessary to use the funds in Dog and Kennel Fund besides what has been limited to us before. Before it's like for livestock that has been killed and whatnot. So with this, copying what's in state code will allow us to use some of this money if needed for the animal control facility or whatever's deemed necessary that would fall under this.
Motion approved and discussion, please.
Motion to approve policy statement for the Dog and Kennel Fund. Amendment number 1.
And the only discussion I have is great job on seeing that there's more, when legislation gives us more flexibility. And anytime our staff, Michelle, Gina, can catch that legislation gives us the ability to do more on our level, please, let us always adopt that into what we can do and not limit ourselves. Legislation changes every year, as we know. And let's make sure we're sharp enough to catch what they do to allow us to be a part of, more and more and more. They don't mind passing things to us, like passing rate increases, so they don't have to. So let's also use what they allow us to do to make things better.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None motion carried. Review, discuss, consider moving all 9 a.m. commission meetings to 10 a.m. So does this mean we would have 10 and 11 meetings?
That is correct, unless you
Is there
would
a reason
decide
we
to make
couldn't do
them
them
all
all
the
10?
same.
No, ma'am. Motion to make all meetings at 10 o'clock.
Okay, motion's been made to make all meetings at 10 o'clock. Is there any discussion?
When will this be effective?
Yes.
We're gonna make it effective
Yes, that's
next week.
week.
So the June 12th meeting.
Okay. Motion's been made to move all commission meetings to 10 a.m. and this will resume or begin next week, which is the 12th.
That is correct, Madam President.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 20, review, discuss, consider budget revisions A and B.
Madam President, these are budget revisions that we needed to do to make sure that there's no negative in any line items, whether it be whatever department. These actually have to go to the state auditor's office because they're being added to the revenue. We actually had more money come in gas and oil severance tax. Plus also with law enforcement, we had to add back money to his department for the overtime details that they do. We pay up front, but then like Antero reimburses us, Lost Creek reimburses us, whichever municipality. So money is going back into these line items to make them not in the negative, to put the money that they've reimbursed us back in
A and B. Motion to approve budget revisions A and B. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None motion carried. Laura?
So I just wanted to update everyone as for what happened with Salem EMS earlier this week and them unfortunately having to shut their doors. Want to let you know that I've talked to the emergency squad and they were able to add another truck to the road to make sure that they cover, there's adequate coverage out there in Salem. So I appreciate Rick Rock working with his guys. Part-time helpers actually offered to work more hours to make sure that that area is covered. So,
I do too. Sad.
and then again, with everything with the bridge, once we get the environmental and everything back, we can then move forward with the 5G process for everything with the bridge.
That it,
Yes, Madam President.
Mr. Treebell? I have nothing. Commissioner Hinkle?
Yes, ma'am. in regards to Salem closing, I'm curious if, Mr. Treecost will sending us a plan on how to handle that. He said in the news, that he would be working and beginning with the city of Salem to discuss this issue. And I'd like to be given notice when to do that. Also, I want the people of Harrison County to understand again, we're not making any decisions, but we seem to have money for rail trails. Our attorney says there's no time limit. If I take it correctly, on when we have to repair that rail trail, we had till now, till 100 years to fix that trail. Is that correct?
There was originally a time limitation in the deed. It was taken out, so there is no time limitation.
Well, it was taken out of the deed, but what about the purchase contract? Did it have a time?
The purchase contract merges into the deed.
So there is no time.
There is no time limit as we sit here today.
Bond at this time.
Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.